The silent death of the modern relationship. There is a terrifying, hollow silence growing in modern relationships today, and it's killing the very thing you're trying to save. You have been conditioned to be polite, sterile, and safe. You've been told that being a good man means being predictable, soft, and constantly seeking permission. But while you're playing by these modern social rules, you're losing a game governed by biology, and biology doesn't care about your manners. You are likely exhausted from being the nice guy who respects boundaries so much that you've actually become invisible to the woman you love. You're doing everything right on paper, yet you feel a massive, growing distance even when she is sitting right next to you. This happens because you've stopped speaking the language of her instincts and started speaking the language of a handbook. The truth she will never tell you is that she isn't looking for more comfort or more safety. She is starving for a thrilling suspension of control. Deep in her primal core, she wants something raw that makes her heart race, not out of fear, but out of the sheer adrenaline of being overwhelmed by a man's desire. Society has shamed her for these thoughts, so she locks them away. But she is desperately waiting for you to be perceptive enough to stop asking and just start taking. If you turn away from this truth now, you are essentially signing a contract to stay in the friend zone of your own marriage. You are choosing a life of polite companionship over a life of intense passion. But if you choose to stay and understand the hidden side of attraction, you will unlock a level of devotion and desire that you never thought was possible. The primal psychology of being claimed. The absolute first thing she secretly craves, the thing she would likely deny to her grave in a public conversation, is the intoxicating sensation of being claimed. In the civilized world of work and politics, she demands equality, as she should. But in the deep, dark architecture of attraction, equality is a passion killer. In the bedroom and in the moments of true intimacy, she wants to feel possessed. This is what we call benevolent objectification. It's the feeling that, for a moment, she doesn't belong to herself or the world. She belongs entirely to you. When you move through life with a sterile respect, asking, "Is this okay?" before every touch, or looking for a green light for every kiss, you aren't being respectful. You're killing the polarity. You are sub-communicating to her animal brain that you aren't sure if you're actually worthy of her, and nothing turns a woman off faster than a man's self-doubt. She doesn't want a partner who treats her like a fragile coworker. She wants a man who looks at her as an object of overwhelming singular desire. This isn't about words. It's about dirty, nonverbal behavior that signals your dominance. It's the way you grab her waist in public without asking for permission, or the way you place your hand on her neck and steer her through a semi-crowded room with absolute authority. These actions trigger an ancient evolutionary safety mechanism inside her. In our biological history, a man who was possessive and dominant was a man who had the high testosterone and the sheer will required to protect his resources and his mate from the world. When you are bold enough to objectify her in the heat of a moment, you are signaling that you are a protector, not a bystander. The nice guy thinks he's being a gentleman by keeping his hands to himself and waiting for an invitation that will never come. The man she actually fantasizes about understands that his touch isn't just a gesture, it's a claim of ownership. She is desperate to feel that weight and that certainty. She wants to be the prize you've won and are now actively enjoying. When you take her without hesitation, you provide her with a vacation from her own ego and her own responsibilities. You allow her to finally stop thinking and start feeling. But that only happens when you stop being polite and start being a man who knows exactly what he wants. The gift of alleviating decision fatigue. This deep seated desire to be possessed is actually a profound form of psychological relief from the crushing burden of modern autonomy. Today's woman is constantly forced into a position of leadership, making hundreds of high stakes decisions every single day in her career, her social life, and her personal management. By the time she gets home to you, her brain is on fire from overanalysis. Her secret, unspoken desire is to finally be passive, to have a man who is strong enough to step in and take the steering wheel so she can finally let go. She doesn't want to come home to another series of questions like, "What do you want for dinner?" or "Is it okay if I touch you?" She wants you to decide when intimacy happens, how it unfolds, and exactly where it goes. When you approach her with a slightly selfish, primal hunger to satisfy yourself through her, you aren't being toxic. You are actually giving her the greatest gift a man can provide: the ability to shut off her hyperactive, analytical brain and drop into her body. It is vital that you do not confuse this with abuse or a lack of respect. It is, in fact, a demonstration of absolute competence. Taking a woman in this way requires a level of conviction that most men are too scared to embody. If you hesitate, if you look for a green light, or if you wait for her to lead the way, you appear weak and creepy because you are forcing her to stay in her masculine, decision making mind. But when you move with total certainty, it is intoxicating. She wants to feel like a prize that you have rightfully won and are now thoroughly enjoying. This is exactly why ravishing is a timeless romantic trope in every piece of literature women actually consume, while asking for permission never is. You must understand that the second you apologize for your primal nature, or the moment you feel guilty for your own desire, the spell is broken. You've signaled that you aren't actually the dominant force she was hoping for, and the mental weight she was trying to drop falls right back onto her shoulders. The raw power of destabilization. Contrary to the sanitized advice you hear in modern therapy sessions, a relationship completely devoid of anxiety is a relationship that is destined to lose its passion. While a woman certainly needs stability and safety for her long term survival, she requires a level of unpredictability to maintain sexual desire. She secretly wants you to be the primary source of her emotional stress and simultaneously the only cure for it. This is built on the powerful psychological principle of intermittent reinforcement. If you are always there, always available, and constantly flooding her with "I love you" texts and verbal affirmations, you are essentially crashing the market value of your own attention. Your validation becomes a common commodity, and in biology, anything that is common is eventually ignored. To keep the fire alive, you must be willing to withdraw your validation and your attention without warning. When she has to stop and wonder, "Does he still want me?" or "Why is he being so distant?" it creates a massive spike in dopamine that a safe relationship can never replicate. This isn't about being a cruel person or playing games for the sake of being mean. It's about being a man who is so intensely focused on his own mission and his own life that his attention is a naturally scarce resource. She wants to feel the genuine thrill of earning your smile and winning back your focus. If you give your approval away for free to anyone who asks, it becomes worthless. But when she has to work to decode you, she becomes emotionally invested in a way that makes her attraction to you nearly impossible to break. The monster on a leash. Controlled aggression. Every woman, deep within the ancient, primal parts of her brain, carries a specific attraction to the concept of a dangerous man. This isn't about wanting a man who is actually cruel or abusive. It is the desire for a man who possesses a monster inside but has it under complete control. She doesn't want a weak man who is incapable of violence, because a man who can't be dangerous is a man who can't protect her. She wants the beauty and the beast archetype, a man who has the capacity for brutality but chooses to be gentle specifically with her. When you are with her, she wants to feel the reality of your physical strength. She wants to feel your weight overpowering her and your strength limiting her movement. This is a physical manifestation of a psychological need. It tells her animal brain that you are the dominant force in the room, and that dominance is her ultimate shield against the rest of the world. If you make the mistake of treating her like she's made of glass, too afraid to be rough, too timid to use your strength, you are inadvertently making her feel unsafe. To her subconscious, a man who is too nice or too physically hesitant is a man who lacks the edge required to handle the harsh, often brutal realities of the world outside. By handling her with authority, by pinning her down, or moving her body with conviction, you are communicating that you are a dangerous man who has mastered his own aggression. You are showing her that you have a wolf inside, but that wolf is loyal to her. In public, you are the civilized, high value gentleman. But in private, she desperately wants you to strip away that social mask and show her the animal. She wants to look into your eyes and see that you aren't a domesticated, harmless dog, but a predator who has chosen to sleep by her fire. The Shadow Protocol, integrating the identity. The most important truth you must accept is that you cannot simply act this way in the bedroom if you are living as a coward in your daily life. Women are experts at reading subcommunication. If your dominance is just a performance, she will smell the fraud instantly. You must integrate this shadow side into your entire identity, starting with the predatory gaze. Most men walk around with a pleading beta expression in their eyes that silently begs for approval or asks, "Do you like me?" You must kill that habit. Train your eyes to be still and piercing. When you look at her, your gaze should say, "I am evaluating you." When you hold eye contact without being the first to blink or look away, you create a natural spike of tension. That tension is the psychological precursor to sexual arousal. You are showing her that you are not intimidated by her beauty or her presence. Furthermore, you must stop using your personality to diffuse tension. Most men smile or make a joke the moment things get awkward because they can't handle the pressure of the moment. Instead, you must learn to let the silence sit in the room. The man who is comfortable with silence is the man who controls the frame. You must also practice benevolent denial. The nice guy thinks that saying yes to every whim and every small request makes him a good partner, but biology says it makes him a servant. Start saying no to things that conflict with your purpose or your schedule. This triggers the scarcity principle and reminds her that your time and your focus are high value resources that she has to earn. Finally, you must become the unwavering rock. A woman's emotions are often like a hurricane, full of chaos, testing, and volatility. Your job is not to join the storm or try to fix it by pleading or arguing. Your job is to stand perfectly still within it. When she tests you with emotional outbursts, do not react. Do not raise your voice and do not beg for her to calm down. Simply maintain your calm, dark intensity. This lack of reaction is the ultimate display of masculine strength. It proves to her that if she cannot rattle you with her words or her emotions, then she can safely trust you with her body. You are showing her that you are the anchor she can cling to when the world gets loud.